I'm a Van Damme fan for life. The very first rated R movie I ever saw was Bloodsport when I was like 7 or 8 years old. Probably too young to watch that movie, but me and my buddies watched it. I've been a fan ever since. And somehow in the last week we've had 2 different Van Damme films kind of brought back to life. So Hard Target 2 has come out, and it does not have Van Damme, but theoretically it's a sequel to Hard Target. It's not a sequel. And the other one is Kickboxer Vengeance, which is a remake of Kickboxer, and it does feature Van Damme. Both are kind of part of this direct-to-video martial arts genre that's kind of dominated by Michael Jai White and Scott Adkins, and Hard Target 2 has Scott Adkins in it. One of them kind of plays into the terribleness kind of this direct-to-video martial arts genre, kind of just plays to the bad stereotypes of it, and the other one kind of transcends the genre. I'm happy to say that Kickboxer Vengeance is actually a pretty good little martial arts film. Kickboxer Vengeance is a remake of the original Kickboxer movie. That's to say that it has the same set of characters and it has the same plot as that film, and it's a retelling of that same story. With that said, it's also different from the original in that they've swapped out some characters. Some are gone, some are added. They've swapped out some plot points. Some are gone, some are added. But the same, like if you gave a summary of the plot, it's essentially the same with the same main characters and the same villain. Slight tweaks in that. But really the biggest difference with the story is that it's told a bit non-linear in nature, and so it feels quite a bit different while generally being basically the same story. Let's talk about the good. First off, with the plot, they've added some new elements into it that I think fill in some gaps from the previous film. It's not that it's like plottier or convoluted or they put in unnecessary subplots. It's just storylines that would make sense to make the film make sense to the current sensibilities of audiences that are a little bit more cynical and skeptical than they were back in, 1990. For the cast, they got the right cast for this movie. Now, are these great actors? No, but are they the right performers for this movie? Yes, they can deliver the lines convincingly enough, and these aren't deep characters with big emotional scenes. They just have to be tough guys that get mad and fight each other. So for that, they got performers that can deliver angry and aggressive, and they got people that can pull off the physicality and do their own stunts, and all of them are good enough for this. I want to highlight a couple of them. The guy that plays the main character's older brother in this was originally supposed to be played by Scott Adkins, which makes total sense if you understand this genre that they would want him for this. The guy they did get, I'm not familiar with who he is. Apparently he's died since they made the film, which is very unfortunate, but I feel this guy brought more to the role than Scott would have brought to the role, just because Scott Adkins has a very distinct personality that he brings to the screen that's just kind of this aggressive scowl, I'm going to beat you up. And I felt there was a little bit more of a vulnerability and relatability to the actor that they did cast. If we're talking about the cast of this, you got to talk about having Dave Bautista play Tong Po. And so if you think modern day Tong Po, Dave Bautista is a great choice for that. He can, of course, pull off the physicality and the simpleness of kind of this warrior's dignity and ferocity. Apparently, this is the first leading role for the main guy, and he's as good as the other guys that are starring in these movies. Of course, can pull off the physicality, but I think he's as strong of an actor as these other guys, and so I think, hey, let him do more of these roles. Finally, you got to talk about Van Damme in that mentor role, which, of course, is a lot of fun to see him on screen in a different role, and that he's kind of really embracing that he's getting older and that he'd be willing to be like, yeah, I'll be the older mentor now. And he embraces it. And because it's him, he gets in on the action quite a bit more. And of course, as if you've seen him do anything in the last few years, you know he can keep up on the physicality. He's still in great shape. He can still do the splits. He can still do all these crazy kicks. And so that was great to see him in this kind of role. And once again, I hope he continues doing stuff like this. When it comes to the action, there's probably quite a bit more action and more fights in this movie than in the original Kickboxer. And they found, it's pretty forced, but they found good reasons for these situations to happen. And so it's not just that they're walking down the street and they keep getting mugged or stuff like that where it's just totally unbelievable. No, it's like guys in training camps that keep like being aggressive towards each other, so they fight. And the action in the film is very good. It's not great. It's not mind-blowing. They haven't come up with a new twist on the genre. It's very much the current era of strong physicality, kind of. I don't know if Tony Jaa's the guy that kind of made it happen, but like this movie definitely has a couple of little nods to Tony Jaa in it. There's a couple sequences that are very similar to things from Ong Bak, and so that feels like it's following in that. It's not nearly as good as Ong Bak or The Protector, but you can see the influence there in just these crazy flippy kicky moves that they pull off that, guys didn't do 20 years ago that seemed pretty common now. As for the bad, the movie never really lets the characters or story sit anywhere long enough to get deep. We understand their current motives and what they're currently doing. That's about it. While they got a great cast, they wasted some of it. They got Gina Carano, so they got someone that is a former UFC fighter that has done action movies, that is great at action movies, and she does no action. She's just a pretty face that's the fight coordinator or something like that. As for the fights in the movie, they have the problem of being cut too much. There's too many cuts in it. With that said, it's not the worst version of that it's all close-ups and right up in your face and you're just seeing like a fist or a foot hitting a face. It's not that. It's wide angles, and so you're seeing that these guys are pulling off these flippy moves and they can actually do it, and it's the actual actor performing this. The problem is that they cut in the middle of the move, and so it's not as smooth and as kind of gorgeous as like the classic days of Jackie Chan, where you would see a whole sequence played in wide shot and you could see everything that happens, and it's just so perfectly choreographed and shot. This is more like great choreography with great athleticism, not shot beautifully, but shot good enough that you can tell what happened. And there's actually, to that point, there's a couple of times in this where they do the cool, weird, flippy, kicky things, and they're clearly 3 feet away. Like, there's one shot towards the end of it where a guy does like a 720 spin kick and like lands with a kick on the guy's face, and there's no chance that this guy was within 2-3 feet of him. I mean, he was so far away. And it's like, wow, that was an awesome kick that definitely did not hit Dave Bautista in the face. With all that said, of this current generation of martial arts films, this is probably one of my favorite films of this branch of them, the direct-to-video ones. And if you see the trailer for it and you're not interested, watching the movie's not going to convince you. However, if you're into martial arts films and you do kind of like I'll throw in the Scott Adkins, Michael Jai Whites, I'll watch them once and I'll enjoy it, but I don't want to watch it again. The difference here is I watched this one, I went, I can see myself putting this one in rotation. I'll watch this one as much as I watch the classic Van Damme films. So I'm going to rate this one a 7 out of 10. They went for a single and they got a single. They got on base. They made a good movie that I enjoyed that I'll want to watch again. To be honest, this is better than most of the films in this genre, and I will watch it again. If you like Van Damme movies or you like this current generation of martial arts films, I think you're really going to like this film. So with Van Damme kind of having a bit of a revival with his career with this movie, Jean-Claude Van Damme, what's your favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme film? Tell me in the comments section, let me know. With that said, if you've liked this video, please click that subscribe button. I love to talk movies. I'd love to talk with you in the comments section. Join us there. Thank you for watching.